From Beyond the Lake Horror Podcast.
Read at your own risk of fucking brain rot. You know how like a good author can transport you into the heat of the moment, the eye of the storm, the heart of the battle. A good author, as you're reading their wonderful prose, you can smell the rain. You can taste the food that they're speaking about. Well, as they say in the city, forget about it. Because this book just, oh, you'll see. It's book review time, kiddies. I'm not really looking forward to this one. Let's just get this show on the road, shall we? Great movie. This is the novelization, okay? I warned you not to go out tonight. And I'm about to warn you not to read this book. It's got back cover, front cover, pages, writing in it. So this novelization is based on William Lustig's Maniac movie by Stéphane Bourgoin. I might have mispronounced that, but that's okay. The book cover looks cool, right? So let's read the back of this and see what you're getting involved with. One of the most legendary serial killer movie has been officially novelized for the very first time. Hang on a second, let me try. One of the most legendary serial killer movie has been officially... That's where we're starting with this fucking thing. That's sentence one, all right? Let's continue on. Gory, sticky, creepy, with a dry humor, Maniac is an invitation into 80s New York madness, which follows a disreputable man, Frank Zito, that we challenge you to meet, with an original foreword by director William Lustig. Sorry, Billy. I don't know why you got... Okay, so anyway, it's poorly written. The grammatical errors up the wazoo, spelling errors, shit that doesn't make sense because it's poorly written. It's really short, adds absolutely nothing to the movie. In fact, it detracts so much from the movie. If this thing wasn't, what is this, 3 pages long, 131 pages? Holy Christ. Anyway, this thing is not a recommendation. I mean, it's cool to have if you're a collector to have. I mean, it looks good up on your shelf, but this thing's getting donated, folks. This movie, what makes this movie so good outside of the cast is the elements of that dirty, greasy, slimy, sleazy 1980s New York that you grew up with. You loved in movies like Slime City, Maniac Cop, Maniac, and, you know, there's a million of them. And there's none of that in here. There's no sense of environment. The dialogue is horse shit. You know what? I'm not going to waste your time with this review. Don't read it. Well, read it if you want to. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But I'm not recommending this fucking thing. But I will read chapter 1 for you so you can get a taste of it. And if something doesn't read right, it's not because I'm an idiot. I promise you, or I am an idiot. But I'm not this much of an idiot, okay? So let's give it a whirl, okay?
Chapter 1 read-through of Maniac, the novelization.
William Lustig's Maniac, the official novelization. I'm not going to read the foreword. Chapter 1, the murderous prologue, okay? On a dune overlooking one of many beaches around New York City, public binoculars allow you to admire the landscape and the waves of the rising tide. Sounds like we're off to a good start so far, huh? And don't get your hopes up. Day is breaking and a cold breeze is caressing the horizon. A gloved hand slips a quarter into the slot and then lowers the lever to engage the mechanism. Slowly, the silhouette of a man begins to examine the seemingly deserted area, stopping on a couple below, sleeping under a thick blanket. Next to them, a wood fire is throwing off its last embers. At this hour, they are the only 2 people on this beach. The cries of the seagulls, the sounds of the waves, and the morning chill wake them. The night before, they made love, not once but twice. Very nice. Wrapped up in the thick... I added that. That's not in the book, okay? I'm actually adding shit to this I shouldn't, because I want you to know how bullshit it is. They were wrapped up in a thick blanket covering them. The nighttime chill has not yet set in, and they have taken care to light a wood fire that adds to the romantic ambiance of this place. Yeah, New York Beach. Flames are reflected in the passion-filled eyes of these two lovers. At this time of year, the beaches of the Big Apple are mostly deserted, as they have taken care to avoid those adjoining amusement parks such as Coney Island. The young woman finally addresses Steve, her companion. "It's starting to get cold, darling." Steve, still sleepy, does not react. "The fire's going out. Why don't you go get some wood?" Yeah, go get some wood. "I'm too tired to." Spelled wrong, by the way. The woman shivers, then looks at him pleadingly. "Well, it's true that it's starting to freeze up." He gives in, yawning. "I'll go." He looks around. Steve hesitates for a moment because they forgot to take a thermos of hot coffee with them. So he wonders if he should take his car to the nearest town to get some breakfast, but he fears that his girlfriend will be frozen to death when he returns. Without hesitation, lighting a fire becomes the most urgent task. He gets up and heads for the dunes to gather branches and leaves. Meanwhile, yeah, because there's a shit ton of leaves in the dunes of the Cape. Meanwhile, his companion rolls up under the blanket and falls back to sleep. "Thank you, darling," she mumbles. A few seconds go by. Then a figure approaches, quite large and dark. It emerges from the dunes. It's Paul Atreides. Ouzel, to some. The cold sand crunches under the reinforced sole of his boots. The young woman keeps her eyes closed. Quickly the shadow looms over her, looks at her for a moment, leans over, and a gloved hand caresses her hair. The seagulls circling above the scene scream, accompanying the rise of an icy suspense, increasingly tense as the atmosphere grows heavier. Their hoarse and mocking cries intensify to the point of hiding the young woman's grasp of terror, who suddenly opens her eyes and discovers her mystery counterpart. She half sits up to look at the stranger. He draws a blade, and without further ado, slits her throat. Without further ado. It's a game show host, you know. It's like, "Hey, welcome to the dunes of the Cape. Here's a knife in your throat." The victim's screams of terror turn into bloodied gargling. Having slit her throat, he begins to delicately cut into the top of her forehead, removing her hair, which he takes care not to damage. Although dead, the young woman's limbs are still twitching. As he continues without the slightest hesitation, the victim's skull begins to appear. It glistens with the sticky liquid that covers it. During the final convulsions, the stranger completes his task of retrieving the scalp, which he wipes carefully before wrapping it in a bag prepared for such the occasion. The precision of his movements suggests that this is not the first time he has committed such an act. The cuts are straightforward, and he shows no uncertainty in his execution of this horrific deed. Meanwhile, Steve, his arms laden with wood, returns to camp. He hasn't noticed anything because of the ambient noise of the waves and the seagulls. Oh, how beautiful. When he approaches, the form oh, by the way, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of atmosphere here, but that all disappears by the time you get to chapter 2. Don't think I'm bullshitting you on this, folks. When he approaches the form curled up under the blanket, what he believes to be his sleeping girlfriend, the same silhouette rises up behind him. A tourniquet-like garrote, whose steel cable bites deep into the flesh of his neck, tightens around his throat. The pain is so horrible that he is as if The pain is so horrible that he is as if that's what it says. I can't. The pain is so horrible that he is as if anesthetized. He drops his bundles of wood, blood spurts out in long, abundant jets, and he is lifted off the ground to the point that his feet no longer touch the sand. He waves his arms. and tries in vain to undo this bond that is causing him mortal convulsions, his fingers unable to slip under the noose to pull it away, frantically claw at his white skin. The helpless young man struggles, grasping even more weakly, while the black-headed gulls cry endlessly above their heads. After a final jolt, his hands fall back along his inanimate body, and death welcomes him into its arms. No sooner has he done than the... This is a hard goddamn book to read, all right? It's not me, I promise you. No sooner has he's done than the I'm just going to skip to the next goddamn sentence because that one doesn't make any sense. He leaves without looking back, abandoning it to the cries of the seagulls, the only murder witnesses. Frank Zito jolts awake in bed, the sheets and pillows soaked, his face covered in sweat. Sweat is beading on his mustache. Sweat, sweat, sweat. There's a lot of sweat going on. He is surrounded by total silence, the sinister bareness of the room with its leprous walls. I hate those leprous walls, Jesus Christ. Oh, he gasps, terrified. Oh no! His gaze is haunted, his eyes are wild. He breathes in long gasps to try to regain his composure. Did he dream? Or rather nightmare that barbaric double scene on the beach? No. A female mannequin lies at his side. Her face is streaked with blood, which cascades from her hair held in place by a nail. It was so... Did he really scalp this young woman on the sand? Everything leads him to believe so. It was so real. His gaze falls on the sordid bedroom with a tiny adjoining bedroom, in the darkness sparsely pierced by the glow of tiny light bulbs and candles that frame the old portrait of his beloved mother, Carmen Zito. Run-ons, anyone? Jesus Christ, I need a yoo-hoo. All right, let me just read. Hang on a second. Everywhere dolls are placed on shelves and furniture. All these dolls, devoid of any clothing, do not have the slightest trace of hair. For Frank Zito, they evoke the passion of his beloved mother who collected them, a passion also shared by his older sister Mona, for whom he has always felt fierce hatred and jealousy. The atmosphere is barely illuminated by the gloomy crackle of a television. There is no window, nor an opening to the outside. The walls covered with... Well, how the fuck does he get in and out of his apartment then? No windows or no openings to the outside? Whatever. The walls covered with a greenish goose poo colored paint. Goose poo colored paint. I kind of like that. I might use that later. I'm going to write that down. Perfectly reflect the state of mind of its occupant struggling with his demons. Nothing brightens up these places where sinister drawings and paintings hang on the walls. Death reigns supreme as Frank Zito's permanent roommate. He sits up with difficulty. He examines his calloused hands for any trace of hemoglobin. Yeah, we always do that, right? But sees nothing, which doesn't mean that he hasn't committed any murderous acts, because he could very well have cleaned them up when he got home. Yes, of course, I could have. Then he staggers toward the tiny bathroom where the sink is overlooked by a mirror. Frank takes off his sweat-soaked undershirt and starts to wash himself. Oh, this is a sexy moment. Phew, I'm getting sweaty. Ugh. As he does this, his hands come... that one's my fault. As he does so, his hands come into contact with deep scars and burns that streak his torso. Countless memories of the past come flooding back. Memories of a childhood spent alongside his beloved yet so cruel mother and his sister Mona. Actually, chapter 1 wasn't as bad as I said it was, but trust me, some of this shit is unreadable, okay? Read at your own discretion.